name is Becky. Thanks for coming and sitting down with me today. I just wanted to start a little bit about your time being at Nazareth back at the height of the HIV epidemic, how you went about your work there.
Okay. Well, back in the 70s and the 80s, everybody was so afraid of drug users and homosexuality. It was just, it was a big fear among people.
Mm-hmm.
And in about the 80s, the Sisters of Charity got involved with trying to change the law that would allow AIDS patients to be put in nursing homes. Because before that time, there were no patients allowed in nursing homes, no AIDS patients allowed in nursing homes. And they did get that, the Sisters of Charity got that law changed.
Mm-hmm.
So in 1986, Nazareth Home received their first AIDS patient. And that was the first patient in Kentucky that was allowed or, even wanted to have an AIDS patient. Now, that experience was where I came in because I was the director of nursing there.
Okay.
And there was such fear, a total fear. I had many threats from nurses that they were going to quit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when the word got around that we were going to get an AIDS patient, it was just, well, I thought about quitting myself because people were,
Yes.
I mean, what am I going to do if everybody just quits?
Yes.
And got a call from a woman's hairdresser that said if she took care of AIDS patients, she would not take care of this woman's, do her hair. Well, I mean, that wasn't a big deal for me, but if everybody's hairdresser called, they're going to be coming after me,
Yeah.
Long story short, there was such fear, and the nurses were mad at me because they felt like I was asking them to risk their lives to admit these people.
Yeah.
Now, I knew they weren't going to be at risk because I'd studied it enough, and I thought my RNs would know, but they just didn't. It was like they thought it was airborne or something, and it wasn't airborne. So it did a lot of education, spent a lot of time, day and night. I came in on all shifts and would educate. I even educated the housekeeping and dietary department about how to take care of themselves to prevent anybody from getting AIDS, That's kind of how it all started.
Wow. So in 1986, was this someone who had been diagnosed a long time and was kind of like transitioning from
the patient, our first patient?
Yeah, the patient.
Our first patient, and we deliberately did this because of the stigma around homosexuality. We had our first AIDS patient as a female.
Wow.
So she was a female, and she came in, she was very emaciated, she was very ill. And as I recall, she really didn't live very long, but she was very sweet. And, I went in every day, and I always went in without mask and without any of this isolation gear on, nothing else, just to role model for everybody. But unless I was dealing with secretions, I wasn't in any danger.
Right.
But I have to say, my staff, they went in that room. They were full garb, but I decided to let that go. If they felt safer, that's what they had to do. And as long as they didn't quit, that's what they needed to do. And they did. And eventually, they got more secure, and they didn't go in full garb constantly.
Good.
But our first patient was a female, very little emaciated, a woman, and her family did visit. Some people, their families didn't visit, but I think it was a good beginning, for our patients, our staff.
More people became more educated, which meant a little bit of the less, stigmatization.
Absolutely.
Of someone.
And part of it, it's human nature. If I get to know you, I'm going to not be afraid of you. I had to let some of my, I'm going to be in control of this, that let go, because you have a right to your fears. And all I can do is to educate you to the best of my ability. And, as they got to know the person and felt more comfortable, nobody died, nobody got AIDS. I think it was the people on the outside that was stirring up the staff.
Gotcha. Yeah.
People who didn't really know us from anything. But I owe, I give the Sisters of Charity so much credit for making it all happen. They really made it happen. I mean, we were just there to take care of the people. I happened to be, in charge of all the nurses. So I felt it was a wonderful experience, even though it was difficult.
Sure.
I thought it was a wonderful experience. The thing I noticed was with the staff, at first they were so angry at me. They would hardly look at me, and they would talk. You could hear them as I walked by. And nothing you can do about that. I think we all gained a little bit of respect for each other because we learned, and all in all, as difficult as it was, it was a positive experience.
That's good.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I experience now is it's not that bad as far as people, being fearful of, I can get this virus by just being in the space of someone, but just the unknown of, one, how is it transmitted, and then am I okay if I do touch someone?
Right. Right.
And so there's still those fears of this virus that are out there for people who are around it much, but I think as far as medical care is gone, it's a lot better.
Oh, I mean, today, but there's treatments today. Then there really wasn't treatment.
Yeah.
I can't even remember the drug that they were using, but it wasn't, it wasn't that successful. So yes, people were dying and there was fear. Now, it's just a whole different world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think now, the regimen's 1 pill a day. There's a regimen for an injectable, so the medication has evolved drastically. But there's still those, when you hear HIV or AIDS, you're like, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
And so part of my day-to-day is encouraging people that those times have changed. And 6 months from now, you won't even remember what you told me, and then you kind of gave up. So,
and Magic Johnson, I mean, once he got it, and I think that was in the 90s.
Yeah.
That changed the whole concept of people's fear. It wasn't because you're homosexual, and it's not because you're on drugs, because they all loved Magic Johnson, So that in itself was a godsend, Magic Johnson, I mean, because people respected him and they knew him. So that really settled people a whole lot, in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah.